I shall speak now, humans. You will listen, and you shall obey. The alien's voice sputtered in barely understandable English. Admiral Penko stared at the screen. The world around him, even in all its wrath and noise, had ceased to exist. You shall surrender to me. Your forces lie in ruins, and your cities burn. The alien gloated. The feathers atop its head rose up, until they stood on end. You're pathetic. Burned to cinders. Dimitri agreed. So much destruction, and for what? The Admiral wondered. I am Fleet Commander Agran Essel. The alien commander paused. I speak to all of you worthless, pathetic things. The Ajixa are your superiors in every way. You will bend knee, or you shall see your cities leveled and your factions exterminated. The alien turned to look off screen for several seconds. Its small eyes narrowed to a thin line. Then, its three-pronged beak came together in a sharp clack. The creature turned back and faced the screen. I have cracked your moon asunder. Agran continued. You have seen the measure of my power. Unless you surrender, you shall witness it again. That, I promise you, will be the very last thing that your species experiences. There was a pause. So, let me tell you my terms. There shall be no negotiation. There shall be only compliance. The alien leader's feathers rose up again, higher even than before. I am your king. Agran bellowed, raising his upper arms into the air. You shall surrender, or you shall be destroyed. This is your only warning. I have shown you what my fleet is capable of, and you are no match for it. Worthless. Agran punctuated the last word by slamming his talons down on a console next to him. From this point forth, any drone you destroy will cost your species 10,000 of your puny hides. If you damage one of my mighty ships, I shall burn a dozen of your cities to ashes. Are ashes all that result from war? Penko knew the answer. Resistance will lead to your utter extermination. You have lost. I have won. I shall have my reward. Dimitri pulled his eyes away from the screen and looked around at the soldiers near him. Most were white with fear. Several looked sick. One new recruit was losing his lunch in a corner. The battle that raged just outside was all but forgotten inside the command room. The first demand of your new king is to turn over the one called President Edwards. She will pay for the damage she caused to my ship, and so shall all who aided her. Don't fear, pathetic humans. I know where she hides. Your Washington of DC. The fleet commander clacked his beak once. That city shall burn shortly. All who protect her shall perish in fire. All who disobey shall perish. Surrender now, and you may be spared. The alien paused for several moments. I am your king. Agran finished. The screen went dark. The thunder raging outside was met with total silence inside the USS Pride's command room. No one spoke. Dimitri could even hear his breathing. It was shallow and unsteady. The screen flickered back onto the battle. Shells still pounded the ship's shields. Fighters still scrambled to destroy the hordes of drones that swarmed across the skies. Somehow, to Dimitri, it all looked so different now. Maybe, something inside of him had finally broken. All those years in the Gulag, the way that his family had perished, all of the times that his brothers in arms had harassed him for his sexual orientation. All of it finally broke through the glass shell that he had been building for himself for so long. Ashes. Everything leads to death and destruction, Dimitri thought. Power is a virus. Weapons and warfare are how it transmits itself. The command center slowly filled with activity again. These boys still believed they had a chance. King or no king, they were soldiers to the core. In a way, Dimitri Penko felt sorry for them. They were too young to know what he knew, too young to understand what he understood. The Admiral gazed at the slaughter, the death. Pointless. The king who rules over nothing but ash is not a king at all, he said emotionlessly. No one heard. No one was paying any attention to the Admiral. He didn't really mind. There was a time when he was as full of hope and despair as they. But the world had seen to it that he withered and grew hollow. Now, there was hardly anything left. She screamed when they violated her. She cried long into the night after. I couldn't comfort her. I couldn't save her. If I had tried, they would have killed me. Penko could see Catherine's face. She stared at him with haunting eyes. She would not forgive him. Even if I tried, it would have accomplished nothing. Only more pain. Only more death. Catherine did not reply. Dimitri lost what little hope he had left. The Admiral heard himself say it at last. Ceasefire, he whispered. The roar of the battle overcame his words. Ceasefire, he repeated, louder. Ceasefire, ceasefire, he shouted it and finally was heard. The men looked at him, some in shock, some in awe, a few simply let their mouths hang open, not understanding. Now, I have betrayed both of my countries. Dimitri was a traitor. He had always been a traitor. Every eye in the room was on him. This battle, this war is over. We have lost. No more cities will burn, and no more families will be slaughtered on our account. He paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. Order the fleets to cease their bombardment. Order the fighters to disengage and return to their bases. For a while, no one moved. Then the young man who had thrown up in the corner, his shirt still stained with vomit, spoke up. But sir, what will we do then? How will we fight? The question hung in the air. Finally, the Admiral answered, his voice so low that it was almost lost in the din. We shall not fight. We shall live, he said. And then so low that no one apart from himself could hear, Dimitri finished. For as long as we can. I shall create no more ashes, he vowed. It was almost a prayer. Dimitri considered whether to contact his superiors. Eventually, he decided against it. There was nothing to say. Outside, the guns fell silent one by one. The great battle came to an end, much as it had started, filled with the despair of men who felt that there was nothing that they could do to prevent the extermination of the human race. What can men do when the heavens themselves rain down upon them? Dimitri knew the answer. Die. They can die. One by one, the hopes that the sailors still held inside of themselves were snuffed out. The Admiral could almost feel the room darken. No matter, he resolved, it had been his decision, and he had made it. Someone please attempt to put me in contact with the alien vessel, Penko stated matter-of-factly, as though it were a very reasonable request. It was time to take measure of his new king. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description. Consider tapping the thumbs up and pressing the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.